parents I live with. And you know what I'm talking about. How normal it is to hide what we really are. And Jeff understood that. He had practiced that himself. And although the crimes we're talking about are heinous, are horrible, part of the reason why they didn't think he was insane is because he was hiding. That's one of the definitions of insanity, is that he recognized what he was doing was wrong, and so he was hiding these things. That's why they didn't think he was insane. He was behaving like a normal person, even though what he was doing was very bizarre, very strange, and unusual. But yeah, we worked our way through the book of Hebrews, and I was able to make some points along the way about what it means to be a Christian and how you have Christian faith. And we tried to deal with this idea of building a deeper faith. And really what I wanted to study the book of Hebrews about was to build a solid foundation of faith in him. And you begin to see that as week after week I would continue to study with him and talk with him and build this idea with him. And you begin to see that quite a bit. In fact, his father mentions in his book that you can see Jeff begin to reconnect with people. Later on, he was asking me about, can you send me some tracts so I can pass out to the other guards? Can you send me some information I can share with others? So he begins developing an evangelistic fervor. How can I help others to see what I see? How can I show others to teach them? And of course, I was just beginning working with this one prisoner. I don't know much more about beyond this. So I'm just trying to help him. So I don't have a very good understanding of what I can do or what I can't do, because I'm kind of limited by my fear of the chaplain, and he's limited by his fear of the warden, and so on it goes. And of course, I've learned since then that many chaplains live in dread and fear of what the prison will not allow, and find out later on that it's an unfounded fear. There's an awful lot of more freedom that they have, and you get to older chaplains, and they've been around a while, they give you a lot more freedom than what the newer ones will do, and so forth. But I was new. I didn't know. So this is something we'll anticipate doing. But I believed that I was going to be studying with Jeff for the rest of my life. I believe this was a mission God had given me. I saw us as two old men sitting there, having studied together for 25, 30, 40 years together. Our teeth are falling out, but we're still studying the scriptures together. That's kind of how I envisioned our lives would be. And so I was quite shocked when I heard about Jeff's death, and had a very hard time on my own coming to terms with it, but I didn't have much of an opportunity to deal with that. But I'm getting ahead of myself now. That has to do with something else altogether, which I'll deal with in the next session about how Jeff died. But I'm just trying to talk to you now that Jeff had a real faith, and it was a faith that was growing, and I worked hard to help it to grow. Jeff had a Christianity about him. And it's very important for you to see that, yes, he turned to God, but his turning to God wasn't a fake thing. Now, guards tend to be very skeptical about prisoners turning to God. And to some degree, I can understand why they are so jaded. They, in the first place, view all prisoners as liars. So anytime a prisoner says anything, the very first reaction on the part of the establishment is, I don't believe you. You're a liar. There's nothing you could say that's possibly true. Unless, of course, I want to believe you, then you're telling me the truth. So if a prisoner snitches on another prisoner, I want to believe that, so I'll believe even if the prisoner's lying. So you get this kind of silliness that goes on. So it's very hard for guards to take prisoners seriously. And a lot of people have had a hard time taking Jeff seriously as well, too. Like I said yesterday, the most common question people have asked me is, did I think Jeff was sincere in his baptism? Well, obviously I did, because I baptized him. And I often respond, he was as sincere as anyone I've ever seen, as anyone I've ever worked with. He was as sincere as anyone I've ever known who wanted to be baptized. He was as sincere about becoming a Christian and growing into the Christian that he possibly could become. After the attempt on his life was made, he was so glad that he was alive. He was so glad that he could continue living because he wanted to continue to serve God. He was looking for opportunities to serve God. As we talked about when we talked about the suicide issue, he had rededicated himself to no longer thinking about escaping from his pain, but using what God had given him as opportunities to teach others and to show others about Christ. And he's beginning to feel this way about his mother because he wanted to bring evangelism to her and bring back her faith. He wanted to show this to other prisoners. He was truly trying to grow as a Christian ought to grow. So can one who is so evil change so radically and become so good? Well, I'm in the business of people changing. If I didn't believe that people could change, I might as well just quit what I'm doing. Because my whole vocation is built on the idea that people can change. Some of us do become prodigal sons. But the whole point of the story of the prodigal son is you can always come home. And when you come home, it doesn't matter how bad you've been. As far as God's concerned, your ring is yours, your robe is yours, your shoes is yours. You are my son. You are restored to full son status. Even though you're saying about yourself, I no longer deserve to be your son. And you're right when you say that. But he has a different commentary on you. He says, no, you are my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. And I'm so happy to have you home. Did God say that about Jeffrey Dahmer? I believe with all my heart he did. And I believe Jeff's story, and I'll get more into this Sunday morning, is an application of the story of Christ. It's really a story of a sinner coming back to God. Well, I don't know when I'm supposed to stop, so I will stop. But if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them as best I can.